Are we ready?
Almost.
Okay, let me know.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We're going to start the Miami Parking Authority Board meeting. And I am to read this statement. Pursuant to Executive Order number 20-69 issued by the Office of Governor Ron DeSantis on March 20th, 2020, as extended by Executive Order number 20-150 on June 23rd, 2020. Municipalities, including public agencies, may conduct meetings of their governing boards without having a quorum of its members present physically or at any specific location, and utilizing communications media technologies such as telephonic or video conferencing as provided by Section 120.545B2 Florida statute. The members of the Miami Parking Authority Board appearing remotely for this meeting are Thomas Jelke, Stephen Nostran, Marlon Hill. Is Marlon here?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
There he is at.
Larry M. Spring Jr. and me, Yami Reyes, the chairperson. Now I will hand it over to our city attorney to read, to read her statement.
Thank you, Chairperson. In accordance with Section 2-33F and G of the City Code, the agenda and the material for each item on the agenda for this virtual meeting was published and made available to the members of the Miami Parking Authority and to the public at least 7 full days in advance of this meeting. The material for each item of the agenda is available during business hours at the MPA's main office and online 24 hours at miamiparking.com/virtual-meeting. Any person may be heard by the MPA board through the chairperson and upon registering pursuant to the published notice for not more than 2 minutes or on any proposition before the board unless modified by the chairperson. Since this is a virtual meeting as authorized by the governor of the state of Florida, members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by visiting www.miamiparking.com/virtual-meeting/ to upload their video comments or to submit their written comments via the online comment form. Members of the public may also call 305-373-6789 extension 280 to provide comments via the dedicated MPA public comment voicemail. All comments submitted will be included as part of the public record for this virtual meeting and will be considered by the MPA board prior to any action taken. When addressing the MPA board, the member of the public must first state his or her name, his or her address, and what item will be spoken about. When the MPA board takes action or votes on any proposition before it, it shall do so by roll call vote, which shall be recorded by the court reporter and included in the record. Anyone wishing to appeal any decision made by the MPA board for any matter considered at this meeting may need a verbatim record of that item. As for access to this meeting, the MPA is using Zoom to hold its August 5th, 2020 virtual regular MPA board meeting. This virtual meeting will be broadcast live on Zoom and over the phone. Zoom is a cloud platform for video and audio conferencing, collaboration, chat, and webinars across mobile devices, desktops, telephones, and room systems. As for public comment, the MPA has developed several new methods on ensuring public comment for this virtual meeting. It has established 2 new options. The first new option allows the public to provide public comments via the MPA dedicated public comment voicemail by calling 305-373-6789 extension 280, where the individuals will be able to leave a 2-minute voicemail that will be played during the virtual meeting. The second new comment allows the public to submit comments via the MPA's online comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been distributed to the MPA board and MPA administration throughout the day so that the MPA board can consider the comments prior to taking any action. The aforementioned options, all the comments received will be included in the public record of the meeting for those 2 new options. MPA has also created a set of instructions explaining how the public may submit their comments with either option. Those instructions were provided in the notice to the public and published online at www.miamiparking.com/virtual-meeting. These options established and provided for the virtual regular MPA board meeting comply with Section 286.0114 and Section 120.54 of Florida statutes. The MPA has published an agenda as well as included in the notice to the public pursuant to the City of Miami Code of Ordinances and the items and topics that will be discussed at the virtual regular board meeting. Moreover, Section 286.0114, subsection 4C of Florida statutes specifically authorizes MPA to prescribe procedures or forms for an individual to use in order to inform the board or commission of a desire to be heard, to indicate his or her support, opposition, or neutrality on a proposition. The MPA, through its 2 new public comment options, have provided different procedures and forms to indicate, among other things, his or her support, opposition, and neutrality on the items and topics discussed today at this MPA board meeting. At this time, I would like to ask, has any public comments been submitted prior to this meeting?
No, not so far.
Thank you, Henry. Chairperson, you may proceed.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with our financial portion of the meeting. So Larry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to open the Finance Committee portion of the meeting. Scott Simpson, I guess your presentation of financial statements, please, sir.
Good morning, everyone. The report before you is for the period ending in June. June is the 9th period of the fiscal year. The financial reports are on our website, on our dissemination section of the financial information. It's also page 10 of the overall agenda package. So if you're looking at the large agenda package, go to page 10 of that, or page 1 if you're just looking at the financials. But before we get into the body of the reports, just a few housekeeping item things. There's been a lot of discussion about COVID and the financial impact to entities. Primarily, should you or should you not disclose information to holders of your bonds? Approximately maybe 6 weeks ago, I started having conversations with bond counsel about our budget process, our business process, what's going on, what we're doing. And the discussions went everywhere from, is your plan to continue to make your monthly escrow payments to the trustee? Ours is. Have you been making P&I payments to the bondholders? Yes, we have. Have we been paying our vendors, our financials as presented in compliance with the coverage ratio? Yes. We have not done anything significantly different to the way we operate. When the bonds were sold, disclosed, those type of things. The budget next year also contemplates, I hate to say business as usual, but there are no significant deviations from the normal course of the way we operate business. The budget next year, ensures that the monthly escrow payments are going to be made, payments to the bondholders are going to be made. We will meet or exceed the coverage ratio, those type of things. With all that, we felt that it would not be prudent to make a disclosure because of those financial reasons. Also, for the fact that what's occurring now is a nationwide issue. It's not Southeast Florida parking industries or Southeast Florida 7-Eleven stores. So, bond counsel and I both opined that we think at this point it would not be prudent for us to make any disclosures, but we would do that. So I just wanted to let you know that we have thought about that. So if you do hear discussions about people making disclosures on Emma, those type of things, we have addressed it and we are aware of it. And we're constantly reviewing our numbers, our process, anything to the point in time where we think it needs to be a material disclosure to be in compliance. The budget hearing has now been moved to a virtual meeting at the City Hall. It's still scheduled for the 10th of September at 5:05. When I get more specific information about how they're going to handle it, will we be panelists or will we be guests? Will they have an avenue for us to bring in the board members or what? I'll let you know. The bank reconciliations for the month are current. There are no material items in the current month's reconciliation from the previous month. The body of the report, when we go in and look at it, we always sort of look at the GASB actual reporting And then we look at it and sort of compare it to the pro forma that we initially prepared in April, and then we update it on a monthly basis. The good news is that when we get into the body and we look at June's performance, the pro forma initially laid out a small increase or performance getting better up until September. And at that point in time, in September, we initially thought that the numbers would be no better than being off by 50%. June contemplated being off by 80%. And when we push everything in together, reality was we were only 56% off from budget. So what does that mean in totality? Well, if that trend continues and we have no other significant major hurricanes or any other issues, I still anticipate us having a positive net operation result income somewhere in excess of $8 million before contemplating a contribution to the city. The methodology that we would use when we sit down is once we get the final results, we'll look at the change in our liquidity needs, make an adjustment for that, and then make a contribution to the city. So, the number that we've told the city and we're still comfortable with is the $2 million contribution for the current year that we're in. With that, we'll go into the body of the report. If you go to page 4, if you're looking just at my package, or page 13, if you're looking at the entire agenda package. And if you look for the month, we had approximately 1.4 million of operating revenue, which is approximately about $1.8 million off the budget. Operating expenses were approximately 1.3 million, having an operating loss of approximately $318,000 on the month. A couple of highlights, they're pretty consistent with what we've seen in the preceding months. Bank fees favorable, revenue sharing favorable, rent/building favorable, and security being favorable. And we've talked about, whether those are as a consequence of revenue not coming in and either not sharing or paying merchant fees. The only other item that's favorable, and it's really just an issue, we loaded the budget incorrectly. Salary and wages for the month has a favorable variance of approximately $232,000. When we loaded the budget, we inadvertently loaded the budget contemplating June being a 3 payroll period when it was a 2 payroll. So what we're seeing is we're going to see a corresponding negative variance in August, but year to date, they will offset each other. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions for the financials for MPA for the period ending in June.
Are there any questions?
All right, seeing and hearing no questions, we'll move on to the report for the Knight Center for the same period. Would be page 9 if you're looking at my financials, or page 18 if you're looking at the agenda package. For the month, they have GASB actuals of approximately 104,000, or they were off by about $125,000 on the month. So June and July typically tend to be heavy special event months for them, graduation, special events. So, I think what we're going to see next month is another significant deficit on the revenue side from them. On the operating expenses, they had approximately $239,000 of GASB reportable expenses, or they were over budget by $92,000. Because of the measurement focus for the Knight Center. The Knight Center is a special revenue fund or a governmental fund which requires modified accrual. And the best way to describe that measurement focus is that they really look at how much money did you have in the cigar box at the beginning of the year compared to the end of the year. So they really want to know what happened to your cash. So what does that mean? That means any expenses that they incurred during the period have to be treated as an expense. They're not allowed to carry assets. So they will not buy a large building and depreciate that building over the life of the building. They will treat it as an expense immediately and do it. So they have a huge negative variance on legal and professional item, and that's related to a payment for the modernization of the garage. These numbers have been sent to the city for review and approval. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions about the Knight Center report or the preceding report.
I have one question, Scott.
Sure.
And kind of in general, how are we doing on our monthly contract collections?
well, we have two flavors of monthlies. We have the monthly individual, and those seem to be sort of coming back, but not as strong as we want. The biggest problem we have are with the large, we call them AR accounts, the law firms, the investment banks, they're just not coming back. When you look at what's coming back, and I think is Angel's here. Angel can speak in more detail if you need, but when we look at the revenues and how they're coming back, lots and parking garages are lagging. That's the one area that's not coming back as strong as we'd like it to be. There is encouragement. I spoke with someone yesterday, and I think eventually they'll start coming back. People are going to come back. People are going to get tired of working at home. And maybe the COVID, will change the actual spacing. So everybody's like, oh, we don't need as much space. In reality, they might need the same amount of space for less people just because of COVID and barriers, that type of thing. So does that sort of answer your question?
It does. It does.
I could add one little thing to that. Just so you know, we've noticed a little bit of a spike in residential monthlies. So the residents are trying to purchase more monthly parking. So we're trying to create some kind of push together, get more residential parkers into our garages to assist with that. Because we're like, as Scott said, the commercial is they're not coming. So we can't, there's nobody to really sell to. So we're doing a little bit of a push to get more residents into the garages.
Any further questions, Scott?
I just have one last housekeeping item. I just wanted to give you another. We do continue to meet with the city weekly, specifically with Chris, their budget director, to talk about how we're performing, what we're doing, our plans, those type of things. We also have a meeting scheduled this Thursday to talk to the city manager in regards to the same sort of context. So, we're trying to keep the dialogue open so that there are no surprises when it comes time for budget approval. And we're trying to use the same methodology that they used. What are they seeing on the occupational licenses? What are they seeing on their taxes? And is that mirroring, what we're seeing on ours, just to give us additional validity when we start doing our forecasting? And obviously, we're very interested in what the city plans to do related to staffing. In the budget, if you remember, we did contemplate fully loaded positions, even though that if things significantly change to the detriment, that layoffs is still on the table. But the budget as presented does contemplate full staffing.
I can actually address that. They have presented to the City Commission a budget that contemplates no layoffs, but also no salary increases, contingent upon some matters that they need to address with the unions as a whole. But the goal as a board is to keep the staffing as is right now, no layoffs. So you kind of keep in that vein. Mr. Nostrin.
Mr. Chairman, you just explained what the city's budget might look like. Is that, Scott, the same as us? Are
Yes.
we full, but with no salary increases?
No, we sort of took a different stance that we fully loaded it with salary increases, healthcare increases, those type of things. We've done some things different that the city hasn't done, and so we didn't want to be punitive to our employees. To be specific, we brought our employees back Tuesday after Memorial Day. They were out on the street working. The city, they've had people that have not been back to the MRC in months. We also were proactive years ago in doing things related to healthcare reform, pension reform, those type of things. So to the extent that we could and not be punitive to our employees, we didn't want to be. I think the number is somewhere a little less than $200,000 of the budget impact for projected salary increases for the entire workforce.
Let me clarify something, Mr. Nostrin, also with regards to that city budget. they do have their union contracts that they must abide by. And I'm sure Gigi is familiar with that as well. They're asking, and that's the reference I made about the unions. They're asking the unions to voluntarily not provoke, if you will, the city to abide by the contract that they've already agreed to, or voluntarily take a freeze. However, legally, they would have to provide increases. I know they're still good. The police union, fire union, the two ASMEs, I think they're up right now. So it's not, they're still juggling with that, but worst comes to worst, they will provide for those increases, but that may trigger layoffs and pink slip issuances to get to the number.
And does our budget, Mr. Chairman, include a freeze on hiring and no new positions and just full employment as is?
That is correct. We did not budget any new positions in the budget for next year.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? With that, I will turn the meeting back over to the chairwoman.
Okay, thank you. Gigi, do we need to open up for comments after this meeting, after this financial section, or no?
Yeah, I would prefer yes.
Okay. So,
And for the
We would-
remainder of the
we wait-
agenda.
I'm sorry?
I apologize, but we would open public comment for any discussion on the financials as well as anything else on the agenda, and then we can close it for the rest of the meeting.
Okay, so who's the timekeeper on the 2 minutes?
I am, if you don't mind.
Okay, all right, so
All
we
right.
will open up for any comments or questions that may come in for the financial section or any other part of the agenda.
Henry, has any comments come in prior to or during that financial meeting?
No.
Thank you. We'll leave it open for 30 more seconds and then, so
Okay, thank you.
last calls. If there are no comments or anyone on the line, we could go ahead and close public comment.
Okay, great. So we are now closing the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll take up any comments received at our next meeting, which probably won't be in person, but let's hope. I'm going to open up now the regular agenda. We're going to let Margarita present her report.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of the board. Madam CEO, everybody. It's good to see you all, even if it's virtually. I've been working this month on creating a mini news bureau for the opening of Regatta Harbor. We have a video for social media. We have a video for B-roll for the TV stations. We have fact sheets. We have press releases in both English and Spanish. We have a flyer that will go out to businesses in Coconut Grove and to the community. So we're good to go for whenever the garage is officially open. So we're good to go with that. I think we're going to get good publicity because it's beautiful, because it's in a great area and much needed, and also because really the history of, Pan Am in Miami. We've also have been dealing with a very fun project, which is the DDA's campaign Mask on Miami. And the MPA enforcement officers have been so cool in acting on the video, which is posted on social media, giving out masks on the streets of Miami. And they look like actors and actresses. They're really, really a cool video. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. So much so that IPMI requested a blog to post it across their platforms. And speaking of IPMI, we also submitted a blog about our CEO's vision for the industry, for parking in Miami for the future. So we're hoping that will come out fairly soon. We continue to promote what MPA is doing in support of the restaurants, the dedicating spaces, for the parklets, etc. Internally working on a few other things, updating all the portfolio for the CEO, her resume, the bio. She's in high demand, so people are requesting her resume and biography and all that stuff, so that it's internal. And a few other things that we are creating that will come out in the next month or so. But before I close, and I know I'll pay a high price for doing this, but did you all see this? She'll kill me later. That's my report. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Margarita. That's great. Alex, you look gorgeous in that picture. And the interview was really good too.
Bravo.
If I could, I would hide under a rock right now, but okay, we're gonna be here.
Oh, come on.
Good girl.
Okay, so before we start on our approval items, I am supposed to remind you that all votes have to be roll call. If you have a comment, please raise your hand so I can call on you and we don't speak over one another. We'll be referencing the meeting packet that is uploaded to the MPA website and that you all have received. Please speak slowly. This is a reminder for me as well. And clearly, and face the camera at all times so that the stenographer can take appropriate minutes. She has the right to interrupt us at any time if something is unclear. So let's go into approval items, June 2020 financial statements.
I'd like to move.
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Nostrin, second by Mr. Spring. Now I will do the roll call. Mr. Jelke?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Spring?
Yes.
Mr. Nostrin?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so that hearing no opposition, seeing no opposition, that motion passes. So we will go now into the regular board meeting minutes. Motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Sorry, guys. I have noise coming in from the other room. Moved by Mr. Hill, Mr. Spring, and second by Mr. Jelke. Mr. Nostrin,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
and Mr. Spring,
Yes.
Mr. Jelke.
Aye.
And I am a yes, so the regular board meeting minutes pass. And now we'll go to item number 3.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, so we're requesting board's approval for the purchase of and installation of barcode scanners for the entries and exit at the JMH parking facilities. This is something that we have done already in all our locations, and it helps with the contactless solution. This way the customer can just waive the ticket instead of having to insert it into the machine. So Jackson Memorial Hospital is moving forward with this option as well as others to again improve the service to the customers that are there, especially since it's a hospital environment. And they can also use it for validations with their customers and employees as well. So staff is requesting board's approval for this item at the amount of $86,939.
Okay, are there any questions?
I'm moving for discussion.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Spring?
Only question I had is this Jackson is paying for it? They've already budgeted for this on their side?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions? Hearing none, let's go on to a vote. Do I have a motion for this?
Yeah, I moved it.
Sorry, second?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
It's me.
Marlon, yeah, I mean, I could, Marlon already seconded it. Larry had already moved it.
I'm
It's
sorry,
already on-
guys. I'm in my house today and I'm having sound issues. Okay, so let's go on to a vote. Mr. Spring,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Jelke,
Yeah.
Mr. Nostrin,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so that motion passes, hearing no opposition. Alex will go into your report.
Thank you. So quickly, I wanted to update you on the COVID-19 and what we have been doing and how many spaces, the program that the city has put in place for sidewalk cafes, how, it's taken popularity and some restaurants are really taking advantage of it. Henry, if you can do the shared screen. All right. So I just want to show you this. This is the revenue by area. The same areas continue to do better. Just like Scott says, it's doing better than what we expected. It's nowhere near where we were before COVID, but the areas that continue to have movement is Brickell and Wynwood, Omni, Coconut Grove, Midtown. Those areas are where you're still seeing people go out, no matter what the situation. So that, we haven't really been affected negatively with the storm or anything, the closing of the phasing back of the restaurants. Now that they are able to be outside, there are still people going and frequenting these places. Next, Henry. So I wanted to show you what these signs look like. Today, we have 54 spaces for food pickup and delivery and ride share throughout the city. And 72 spaces are for restaurant usage. So I want to show you some pictures of what these signs look like. This is the outdoor seating area in one of our parking spaces in Q, which is down in Wynwood. So as you can see, they took up about, I think it was 4 or 5 spaces so that they could put their seating outside, keeping social distancing. Go ahead. This is in downtown, the use of the parking spaces. And this is also in Wynwood. So I just wanted you to see, what people are doing and what, how they're taking advantage of the program. So for us, it's a total of 72 parking spaces, and for restaurants and 54 for pickup and delivery, for a total of 126 spaces that, we're giving back to the community and to these restaurants to help them thrive. And we also continue to do the masks on campaign with the DDA, and enforcement is out there giving out these masks.
Alex,
Mhm.
when
Yes.
you say it's, you said it's 176 spaces?
126 total.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is the amount of money per month that equates to?
A total to date since they started. So, some of they come in, they're coming in waves. So every week you'll add a couple of spaces, but to date, we're keeping that number is $118,000 for all those spaces.
Okay.
So we're keeping track of that so that we can total this, at the end, and when we have a full report, hopefully when COVID is done. The next is Regatta Harbor. So Regatta Harbor, I am keeping my fingers crossed for Friday to have a CO. Henry, do you have I want to show them the pictures of everything that has been asphalted and ready. Prepared for this week. The city is being very, Henry?
Yeah, I've got a little lag on here. Just give me a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, the city has been very instrumental in going out there and doing the final inspections. They're there every day. We finally got the flood panels up. You're going to see what they look like. They're these huge metal panels. Actually, they actually installed them right before the hurricane, so it was perfect. So they installed them to make sure everything fit, and so we kept them there over the weekend. So this is just about the finished product. As you can see, we have asphalted the side of the lot on the north side. It's looking great. It's a really good looking garage. As I mentioned in the board briefings, we have about 70 monthlies that are already waiting for the garage to open. So as soon as we get our CO, we will be reaching out to the customers so that they can come and park with us. As we mentioned earlier, one of the things that we're going to go back to the basics is, doing a marketing piece that we can send out to the residents in the area and the businesses so that they know that we're open and that they could come and park with us. And we're doing that here in downtown and also in the Grove for this garage. See, these are hold on, Henry, right there. So those are the flood panels. Do you see the silver panels that you see up on by the window? So those are the ones that have to get installed every time if there's a hurricane coming or a threat. These would be the panels that would have to be installed. Okay, and so as soon as we get our CO, you'll receive an email from us. I wanted to give credit to Tora and Jennifer from our staff that has been working very diligently to have to get the CO by this Friday. They've been, working around the clock with the contractor to make sure everything is ready and working with the city to make sure that they're there. And again, I thank them all for being very diligent and helping us get to that goal of Friday. And lastly is a Grand Station. They're really moving fast. And one of the things that we're doing with them now is negotiating a lease for a few months for them to do their leasing office here in a space that we have available on our floor that was vacant. So they're going to put their leasing office here so that they can start setting it up for people who want to come and are interested in the property next door. So that's the end of my report. If anybody has any questions.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if I could go through to you to Alex. Alex, 3 questions. What's the monthly on the Regatta Garage?
It's $100, right, Angel? Am I correct? Yeah, he's
Yes,
frozen.
$100.
It's $100.
In terms of our assistance with restaurants, I remember last month we talked about the fact that Little Havana, Southwest State Street is a state road, and there are a lot of issues going through FDOT. Do you know of any progress that's being made? Are we involved still in any discussions that that community is having about being able to use part of 8th Street as part of the restaurant operations?
So I got an actual request from a restaurant to use our parking lot that is behind Domino Park as additional seating, even though it's a little further away from their restaurant. So logistically, it may be an issue. So they're trying to get creative on that or the side streets. But Angel, I don't know if in all the companies. So they have a meeting that takes place every other week, every other day regarding new applications. And Angel participates in all those meetings. I don't know if 8th Street, Angel, we've had any progress there.
No, nothing has changed on 8th Street. It's still the same. They haven't moved forward. There's no restaurants that have been approved to allow the sidewalk cafes on the parking space on Southwest 8th Street.
And unfortunately, too, the sidewalks are not wide enough. So then they can't even put the tables there. So yeah, that's a struggle for them.
Last question is, has there been any movement on Biscayne Green?
As a matter of fact, we're supposed to have a meeting this week about it. So they were in the process. They were having 2 more, I think, public meetings. They were supposed to have, they haven't had them yet. And they were going to proceed with, asking for that lane elimination. They have to do the lane elimination first before we go anywhere on Biscayne Green. But I have not, we're supposed to have a meeting. I think it's next week. It's scheduled to follow up on that topic.
I apologize. I just want to jump back for a second because I was just reminded when you were talking about our parking lot in near Domino Park. Has there been any movement on the study that was done for us by Bermeo Ajamil? Have we advanced any sort of plan, any discussions with the city, anything like that?
We have not. That is one of my topics. I also have a meeting with the city manager. So that's one of my topics that we have not advanced. As soon as COVID started, Ms. Nostra, and that conversation stopped. And I'm not telling you that we won't pick that up again. But I have not spoken to the city about it. I'm sure we'll pick up on that again. And it's one of the topics that I have for the city manager.
Thank you.
Alex, I have a question for you on the tenant that we have in our building, the cigar bar. What's going on with that since COVID?
Well, it's tough, Yami, because they can't really, they have some seating outside that they can have, they have food, but it's not really, it's not equipped for what they're allowing now for the restaurants. So they are selling cigars, they're able to do the sale of cigars, which they have had some, but yeah, as a matter of fact, I had to speak to the owner yesterday, and then I got caught up in a meeting. So hopefully I'll catch up with him again today to see where they are with that. As a matter of fact, yesterday at like around noon, I know he was here. He wanted to speak to me, so I'll get an update on that. I know that it's hard. They're struggling because a lot of their customers also are the attorneys in the area, and even the officers in the area, and they're not getting that traffic. So I'll keep you updated on that, on what's going on with them.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, so I just want to remind all of you that on Thursday, September 10th, we have our budget hearing at the City of Miami. Scott will keep us posted on, I believe the hearing starts at 5 o'clock. I don't know that we have any time certain. So we will keep you posted. I would love for all of you to be in attendance if you can. I know it's going to be virtual, but I think it's important that we are there. I also want to thank you for allowing me to be your chair. And I apologize for the issues that I had today. Working from home is a little tough. but I will be in the office for the next one. And so there should be no sound issues. And thank you. If there are no more questions, then I will entertain a motion to end the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Spring, I'm going to do a roll call. Mr. Spring,
Yes.
Mr. Jelke.
Yes.
Mr. Nostrin,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
and I am a yes, so that closes our meeting. Gigi, thank you so much for assisting me with that long statement that Tom, I guess, would love to read.
I just like to go on the record saying that Yami should have some kind of reprimand for not having to read it.
Listen, I tried to get somebody else to record it for me, but they wouldn't play with me. So thank you all very much. I will see you next month
Thank
for the
you.
budget hearing. We will meet
you.
regularly in October.
October.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Be blessed.
Bye-bye.